Hello everyone, my name is Tomasz and I'm a PhD student at the Department of Educational Sciences at Maastricht University in Brno. You can see my picture in the bottom right corner trying to look serious, trying to smile, though failing at the smiling part. Anyway, I'm saying hello virtually to everyone, and I'm really happy that I can talk a bit about my project in which I focused on online synchronous student communication in university teaching with social network analysis. First, let me tell you what I'm going to talk about. First of all, I'm going to give you the background of the research. Then I'll talk about the research aims. Then I'll present the methodological issues linked to this project. Then I'll present the results. And finally, I'll discuss the implications of the results. Right, so let me start with the background. As in most European countries, in mid-2020, university education in the Czech Republic went pretty much fully online. And that was because of the COVID situation. And that was a very new situation to everyone, because never before had anything like this happened. Teachers were facing new challenges stemming from online education. Students were facing new challenges stemming from online education. So we have a brand new situation. Nobody was really fully prepared for something like this. So that's an interesting new situation here. Now, what is important to say is that active participation and interaction in classroom during lessons was found to be a critical predictor of academic success, whether we're talking about high schools or universities. Yeah, so if students are active live during lessons, face to face, if they interact, if they have dialogic lessons, then it's a good predictor of academic success. Now the problem is we have no face-to-face interaction in this situation. So participation in online courses comes to play, because that's the only way students can actually, participate and interact in university lessons now. Yeah. So what is the only way they can interact is online interaction in courses. So that's why I decided to focus on this part, online synchronous interaction in university lessons. And this is pretty much the first study investigating synchronous online interaction in university setting in the Czech Republic. And it's the first study using social network analysis for studying synchronous online interaction in the Czech Republic. So there were basically three research aims here. The first one was to get a general idea about what interaction in university online lessons looks like, because as I mentioned before, there wasn't really much research into this before, especially not in the Czech Republic. Then I wanted to visualize, identify, and compare different interaction patterns with social network analysis. Finally, I wanted to investigate the feasibility of social network analysis for the study of online synchronous interaction. Right, so let me now briefly talk about the methods that I used and explain why I used the methods I used. So first of all, we have this assumption that interaction is dyadic. What this means? It means that interaction is necessarily, from its nature, at least between two people or two actors. There's no interaction without at least two actors participating in the interaction. So that means it's dyadic. Yeah, you cannot have an interaction with a single person. Interaction is also dynamic. It means that it happens over time. It is often reciprocated, and it often happens in time, between many different actors. Now, why is this important? It's important because dyadic relations can be represented as graphs, as network graphs. If you look at the picture on the left, this is a graphical representation of a single one-way interaction between two people. So we have one person, you have another person, and there's arrow going from one person to another person, which represents a single utterance, a single interaction from that person to another person. Now, if you take any interaction in time in some group, such as online university lessons, you will necessarily get network structures, such as the one you can see in the picture on the right side. Yeah, so if you aggregate interaction between, for example, students in classroom in time, you will always get some network structure. Now, social network analysis is an approach aiming to grasp, understand, and measure these social structures and provide framework for their analysis. In other words, I chose social network analysis because I wanted to study interaction as a dyadic and dynamic phenomenon, and I wanted to make sure that my visualizations and analyses would be as real world as possible. So I've chosen social network analysis for my approach, and now I'm going to tell you very specifically what I did. So I found 4 teachers, 4 university teachers from the Faculty of Arts at Maastricht University, whom I've heard about from their students and their colleagues that they tend to have dialogic and interactive lessons. Now I've approached these 4 teachers, and taking into account all the ethical considerations, I managed to get 3 90-minute long recordings from 3 consecutive lessons from each of the teachers. So I have 3 90-minute long recordings of their online lessons, 3 consecutive lessons from 4 different university teachers. The teachers had varying teaching experience. They were teaching different subjects, though they had similar group sizes of approximately 30 students. Now, I was interested in interaction there, right? So I was listening to the recordings, and I categorized interaction into 4 broad categories. The first one is non-addressed question. Those were questions asked by teachers directed towards all students. So these were the questions that teachers were asking without calling anyone by their specific names. The second category was addressed question. Addressed questions were originating both from the teachers and from the students, and they were directed towards a specific person by calling their name. Third category is answer. Answer was a direct response to somebody else's question. And the fourth category is something that I call new idea. A new idea was hallmark of spontaneous interaction, and that was something that was a reaction to something that somebody else had said before, and it was a development of some specific topic. New ideas occurred both from the teachers and from the students, and they were always reactions. Yeah, they were directed towards something, towards someone who had said something previously. So new ideas were not answers to some questions, they were spontaneous interactions developing some ideas. So I have 4 teachers. From each teacher I have 3 90-minute long consecutive lessons, and I have 4 codes by which I've classified interaction there. And let me now show you the results. What I'm going to do now is show you graphical representations of the interaction patterns that I've found across the lessons. On each slide there will be 3 consecutive lessons from one teacher. So what we're looking now is 3 consecutive lessons from course A. The color of the actors represents the type of the actor. The gray actor is the teacher in the center, and the other actors are students. The size of the actor represents how much they were talking during the lessons. The color of the interaction represents interaction type. The width of the interaction represents the number of interactions, and the gradient of interaction represents the direction of interaction. So what we see here in course A is pretty much teacher-centered interaction. In the first lesson, only 4 students interacted with teacher, and none of the students interacted with another. And this has developed into something interesting in lesson 3, in which we can see all types of interaction there, and we can also see a spontaneous student-to-student interaction without direct intervention of the teacher. So we're looking at course B. Compared to course A, we can see pretty much the same star shape teacher-centered interaction pattern. We can also see that compared to course A, interaction in course B was from the beginning richer, maybe, and we can also see that more students were interacting from the beginning. And in the lesson 3, we can see also some spontaneous interaction between the students, not teacher student student teacher, but also student to student interaction. What we see here is course C. Compared to the previous courses, course C was marked by very rich student to student interaction, especially in lesson 2, and that's actually the only case in my sample which resembles other interaction pattern than star-shaped pattern centered around the teacher. So you can see all the different types of interaction there in all the lessons, and especially in lesson 2 you can see spontaneous student-to-student interaction between 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 students. So that's interesting. So for some reason the interaction here was very much not so teacher-centered, and a lot of interaction was spontaneous between the students. Now we're looking at course D. Course D resembles courses A and B, in which it's clearly teacher-centered. In the first lesson we can see a lot of non-interest questions direct from teacher to students. We can also see some spontaneous interaction between the students, as in all the previous courses. And we can see that while in lesson 1 there were all kinds of interaction, in lesson 3 it was only very little interaction, almost none, from the teacher to students in the form of non-interest questions. So the lessons differed by proportions of interaction types and amount of interaction. So in some lessons there were only 2 or 3 types of interaction. In some there were all types of interactions. However, all sample courses contained all types and directions of interaction in at least one lesson, and interaction patterns across all lessons were heavily centralized around the teacher, which created a star-shaped two-way interaction pattern. So what are the implications? First of all, it is possible to have rich interaction in online setting, and you could see that especially in course C, that it is possible to have student-to-student interaction. Anything is possible, but apparently it's not easy, and it's not very simple in online setting. And if teacher-centered interaction is not desirable, then we have to find strategies which lead to student interaction, which would be great for qualitative deep insight research. Finally, social network analysis is a useful tool for analyzing online interaction, and it is very viable for visualizing interaction, because it is apparent what the interaction in the lesson looks like. I thank you for your attention. If you'd like to get in touch with me, please write me an email or link with me on ResearchGate, and I'll be looking forward to hearing from you. So stay healthy and see you around.